Alrighty, let's take a look at our homework. Today we do not have to look at M&Ms. We're just going to do problem 30 and then 32 through 35. Okay, so I'm not sure what the directions are. Do we have some answers that we have to do? Okay, so it looks like here we've got a table of values where we are analyzing to see if a person's shoe size affects their height, or technically I would say their height affects their shoe size, but you know, the size of your feet, size of your body, I guess either one of them are interchangeable. It really wouldn't make any difference which one was on the X or the Y axis. But it looks like we've got the shoe size is our independent variable, and we're seeing what effect it has on a person's height. So does have bigger feet sort of result in you being a taller person? So take a look. We plotted all these points, and you do tend to see a trend line happening there. There do appear to be some outliers, but I would definitely say, let me go ahead and broaden that a little bit. There does appear to be a trend line there with a few outliers, but most of these are pretty close to that line. And you know, it's like, where do you exactly put the line? You kind of want to have a majority of the data and the flow of the data being like making your line more of a median, so you'd have equal numbers above and below it. So you know, it's kind of like you see a clear trend line. If you were to remove a couple of outliers, it would be even clearer. So the fact that the shorter people tend to have smaller shoe sizes, and the taller people tend to have the bigger shoe size, and you got a few that are kind of in the middle here. That does appear to be the trend. So we can say, yes, students with larger shoe sizes do tend to be taller. As your shoe size increases, so does your height. Letitia is determined to do well in school. Her goal is to maintain an 85% average in all of her courses. Letitia started her history class with 2 scores of 72 and 89. Confirm that the mean is 80.5. So how do we do that? We add the 2 numbers together, 161, then we divide by 2, and that's 80.5. Letitia's 3rd score was 90%. Use her scores from part A to figure out what her new mean is. Okay, so now you're going to add all 3 scores together, and you're going to divide by 3. So her new mean would be 83.6 repeated, probably rounding up to 84%. Diamond problems, if you have any questions on any of these, you know, this is like the generic model here. If you were using algebraic terms instead of numerical terms, x plus x technically is 2x, and x times x is x squared. And then when you have a times b, we don't know what either one of them are, but they're not the same value, so we can't say anything is being squared. You just put the a and the b next to each other, like the x and the y were next to each other here. And then a plus b, we don't know what a or b are, just like we didn't know what x or y were, so we just have to write it as a plus b. Until we know the values of those 2 numbers, you cannot simplify these expressions anymore. Okay, so look at those, pause through there. I'm not going to go over each one of them. If you have a question, bring it up in class, or send me an email. That would work too. Okay, and here we are without using a calculator. This is critical for next year at Del Oro. The Del Oro teachers absolutely need you to be proficient with integer operations. There are some workarounds for decimal operations and fraction operations, even though those are important too. But there aren't workarounds for integer operations. So if students in the past, I don't know how their math schedule is these days, but in the past, if a student took a preliminary diagnostic test and showed that they did not have these mastered, they were not able to go into freshman math. They had to take a preliminary math course to learn all of this before they could take their freshman math class. So I'm here to tell you, if you do all this work in 8th grade and master this now, you're less likely to have to worry about that once you go to Del Oro. Okay, so remember, when you add 2 numbers together that have different signs, you're actually going to do a subtraction, and keep the sign of the number that has the greater absolute value. So if we treated this like with algebra tiles, this would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 negatives, and then 7 positives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do you notice how you get all those 0 pairs there? What do you have left over after removing those zeros? 5, 6, 7, negative 8 is the answer. Okay? And here you'd probably want to do a KFC and rewrite this as 8 plus 21, and there it's pretty obvious it's 29, correct? Here you can do a KFC and make this negative 50 plus a negative 30, and I don't want to draw out 50 negatives and 30 negatives. I think you can see that there are no 0 pairs there, so you just add all of them together for negative 80, okay? So once again, on this, I don't want to work out all of them for you. You can see what the answers are. If any of those, if you can't figure out where you made your mistake, let me know and I'll help you make the corrections. And then the last problem, I think it's the last problem. Yes, the last problem, we are going to find the area of each one. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're going to find a side length, aren't we? The area has been provided for each one of them. So remember, area is equal to the base times the height. If you have the base and the height, you multiply them together to find the area. If you've got the area in one of these, you do a division to find the other. So 60 divided by 8 is 7.5, which means that the height must be 7.5 inches. Here, the base is 15, and 180 divided by 15 is 12. So 12 times 15 is 180. That makes this dimension here 12 meters. And 231 divided by 14 is 16.5. So 16.5 times 14 will give you 231. And there is the work showing the division. Okay, so a nice fast one. This makes up for yesterday being longer. All right, so go ahead and move on to today's lesson. Good job. Make sure you're always showing your work and you're always making your corrections, and you will do great this year. Bye.
Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood.